Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to show you how to deploy your token system in just a few simple steps. You'll go to EquityMint.org, make sure you've got the MetaMask extension for Chrome downloaded and configured and your wallet set up. You'll register, then you'll sign in. Sign in is this simple. Just click it, enter your email address, and then click the Sign with Key button. Your MetaMask will pop up and you will connect and sign. Now this process takes a long time when you have a lot of things loaded like I do on my system. MetaMask is quite finicky, but it should go very quickly for you guys. Now click sign in, and that's it. You just signed a message with a timestamp and your address. That's it. Now click operations. And you will see two objects on your screen here. We call these data objects, data views, or data models. We use the terms interchangeably, but it's really quite simple. You're just going to see a place to add yourself as a company that you're representing, or yourself, whatever the entity is that's going to be issuing the token. Now when you issue your token system, think of it as an investment instrument or a stock on a stock exchange. You're merely creating units or interests. You could look at it as pretty much anything you want to. It's an interest in something that you're offering. What are you offering? It can be a service, it can be a product, it can be, each token can be analogous to a week in your hotel, or each token can be a registered or unregistered security with certain exemptions under Reg A, 506C, 506B, crowdfunding. Whatever it is that you're offering, either to the public or privately, must be specified in a subscription agreement. And we'll get to that. First, if you look at the screen, notice yourself. You can add, as I said, yourself as an issuer. Now the way to do that is you just hover over this space here where it shows the fields and just click the plus sign. That now puts you into an add mode, and you add all the information about yourself as an issuer. The company name, for example, the company tax number, and the email address, phone number, address, etc. Everything in red is required. If it's not in red, it's not required. When you're done entering the information, you'll click upload, and anything that's missing will show here. And when there's nothing missing, it will give you the opportunity to upload and reload your uploaded information. Now again, this is the upload button. This is the add button. You click the add button to start adding the information, and you click the upload button to actually upload the information. When you're done, you reload and you will see everything you added. For example, let's say you are Velios Realty. That's who you're representing, and you wish to create a couple of projects, or one project. Velios Realty is here. This is one of my companies as an example. So, two projects have been added for Velios Realty already. One of them, as you can see, has been deployed. How can you tell that? Because the token address here is filled in. This happens automatically. This is the token address for what is called the Velios New York Trust. So now let's assume you're going to make your own token system. And after you added yourself as an issuer, you now press the plus button over here on the token issue system side. Check that out. Just hit the plus button and there it is. You're going to add all of the elements you need to make your very own token system. And when we say token system, we mean something that's incredibly advanced. Not just a token, folks. If you look, you will not be able to see this, so I'm just going to show you here. This is what you're creating. A token system that contains 15 contracts. And that includes a very intricate fee structure, a tree-based fee structure that you can add to for transfers, for purchases, for whatever your business model supports. A time lock that includes meeting with the obligations of Rule 144 if you're a security. You can lock your token after it's been transferred to somebody in a purchase. It can be locked for 12 months, 6 months, whatever you need to do to meet with your jurisdictional requirements. So then there's the token itself. There's the content manager where your document trail, the hashes of all of your documents that are related to the token, are actually stored to be used in a court, as a court reference, either by the user or by the project coordinator. And we're going to go back into operations now so we don't get too carried away here. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to open up the token and you're going to add the token description. And it could be for whatever it is, my project, whatever it is you are doing. Then you're going to add the total issued. This is the field that everyone understands the most. How many tokens, how many shares, how many units are you issuing? So let's start with 10,000. Now this is more appropriately named the initial total issued, because you can change it at a later date unless you lock it. You're given a lot of flexibility here. The token name, what are you calling it? What is its symbol? For example, whatever it is, right? Max allowed decimals, you'll put 0 because you can't divide a share or an interest in the real world. However, if you want to put 1 and be somewhat different, and you specify that in your document, in your subscription agreement, you can. Like maybe you're selling shares at $20,000 and you want them to be divisible later. Nevertheless, if you want to meet with most real world requirements, you'll put 0 here. Now, we always use 18 behind the scenes. This is just the precision level for your project. Now, we even support minimum price. So that means for a time after the initial time lock month, so let's say you lock it for 12 months like we just discussed earlier, and you set a min price of say $200 for the next 24 months after that, after the 12-month lock is up, that means your liquidity pool, that's part of your token system, is protected. So for the next 24 months after the time lock expires, if people try to sell for less than whatever your min price is, it will fail on that liquidity pool. And anything else that's detected as a liquidity pool. Now, let's see, token name, we went over this. The next thing is the price per token in US dollars, which would, let's say for example, is $200. You can also set staggered prices after a certain number are sold at a later date. Now this is very important. This is your stablecoin address. What is the counter asset in the liquidity pool, and what are fees being collected in, and what are you selling your token, if you're selling it at all, are you selling it in USDC, USDT, what are people able to purchase it in, I should say, right? So let's say you choose, you're launching on ETH and it's USDC. Then the stablecoin price feed must also be ETH USD on the ETH chain. If you get this wrong, your token system will not work, and you take full risk. You take full responsibility for that, folks. You need to know what you're doing here, and that's why we're explaining it. You should only launch on ETH until further notice, although we do support BNB and AVAX and all the other EVM chains using our live ETH verified contracts models for your deployment pleasure. So you will select the chain symbol. We just discussed that. In this case, it's ETH. Now you're going to select your document. What is your subscription agreement, folks? Where is it? You'll just click select. It'll bring up the selector, and you will choose from wherever you want what your document is, and then the hash of that document is calculated. In other words, you have to have your subscription agreement done before you launch your project on our system. Not only to launch your project, not only to deploy your project, but in order to sell it through our token sale side, which we're going to show you later. It's quite convenient and both complicated and flexible, all at the same time. The user, you will give them your token address when you're done, and they will connect and discover, and then they will be able to purchase only if our system sees that your claimed domain name right here, token.base URL, is set to where the document that you're specifying here resides. It's quite simple. Take your subscription agreement, and host it somewhere at the domain that you specify here. Something like mydomain.com for your company /sub-agreement. It can be just that. No PDF, nothing like that, just sub-agreement, and that when someone clicks this link, it downloads the subscription agreement with this hash. So your admin can set that up in seconds for you. Specify what it is. You can say, my token subscription agreement, right? Name it appropriately. You can make changes later, and in fact, you will have to make a change later, including adding the token. Earlier version in the trail is always stored, even if you store the new version at the same domain as the old version, at the same actual URL path. You can overwrite the document that you had there. If anyone has an earlier version, they can still use it to their benefit. If you say contradictory things in your documents, a user who's purchased under a prior agreement is still protected because all of the hashes are stored in a trail on chain. Now you enter your registration audit email, and what is that? It's just your email that you want to get CC'd on when the user self-certs. We've got 3 patent pendings on self-certification, and we'll go over that next. When you're done entering all the information you need to, there's more details here, which is called under the section treasuries. These are very important details here. How much of your revenue that comes in do you want to distribute automatically? Well, let's say it's 20%. So that means all of your revenue that goes into your treasury, that is part of your token system here, by the way. We create that token treasury for you. How much of that do you want to go back into how much revenue or profits, depending on how you use your treasury, do you want to be distributed among the shareholders? So let's say you say 20%. Well, now let's set a threshold. Actually, the threshold goes here. So let's say the threshold is 5,000. That means if your distribution rev share percent is 20, then that means for every $25,000 that comes in, when it hits 25K, there's 5,000 ready to be distributed. It will distribute it to the distribution contract, and then shareholders can claim. Now let's say you've only sold to just 2 or 3 shareholders, right? And you've only sold a few tokens of the 10,000, and you're ready to do a distribution. You don't want just a few of those shareholders to receive that whole 20% distribution. So what you can do is set a distribution supply basis. And let's say you set that to say 5,000. That means at least 5,000 units must be sold before the full 20% is distributed. The rest goes back to you. It stays in your treasury. You can withdraw it whenever you want. It's really a protection. And if you want to know more about distribution supply basis, just use your AI and look it up. Distribution supply basis is a very common known term in the industry, although it's not common and probably used by less than 1% of the tokenization platforms out there. I often say that there's no one as advanced as we are when it comes to tokenization. And when they do catch up, we will be 10 times ahead still. We are adding constantly to this platform. And this is probably the only one that has a centralized structure that's still completely sovereign and yet creates a completely decentralized on-chain solution. You can look at this as the manager only, a highly detailed, flexible, and complex manager for your assets, for your asset creation, digital asset creation. Now, and that's a horrible phrase. We call this an investment instrument, or because that's exactly what it is, or a purchase instrument, because it's so flexible and represents so many different things. We don't want to pigeonhole ourselves with phrases that are just a simple subset of what we're doing here. So if you say a digital asset, you think of a property or a piece of art. You don't think of a collection of various things or a business or a company, and this is exactly that. It's whatever you want. It's a collection of whatever it is you specify in your agreement. The interest that you're granting, the token, represents something in the real world. It could be a company, a subset of a company. It could be a REIT. It can be a Delaware statutory trust. So just keep that in mind. Now, once you've entered all this information, you'll just upload it. Same thing we did before as an issuer. Just upload the information. If you're missing stuff, it'll tell you. When you get it right, upload it, hit reload. When you're done, it's going to look something like this. Right? You've got everything specified. Now, what we're going to do is, from here, we're going to show you that we already deployed this. And this is what it looks like after it's deployed. You see a controller with a whole bunch of smart contracts in that controller. And a whole bunch of roles too, including who's the super, Joe Smith, who's the treasury admin, who's the token admin. Let's close this because we're going to deploy again as if this hadn't been deployed yet. So what you'll do is everything will be in here except the token address. You'll just click deploy. That's it. Then you'll click auto deploy. It says, hey, there's no deployment found yet. Let's proceed. So even though we did deploy earlier, we did that in a different setting, in a different controller factory, and therefore that's why we don't see it. And this is what you're going to see. No deployment yet, right? So just click Start Fresh, and that's going to erase all cached progress, Start Fresh. You're not going to have a Resume Previous. You're just going to have a Start Fresh button every time. And the beauty is that your state is saved as you're deploying, and we'll show you what that means. You'll see a bunch of pre-flight test data that you can ignore, and that's it. You're ready. You're ready to deploy. There's 6 phases. You'll deploy phase 1 through 6. Now we set the base fees. There's a deployment fee, there's an activation fee, and there's holder fees, and there's a sales registration fee. The deployment fee is $1,000 at the base domain EquityMint.org. So when you click deploy, the first thing you're going to see is a request for USDC of $1,000. You'll confirm the request, and then it'll go right into the transaction. Now in this case, I don't have $1,000 in this account because we just changed from the 100 to 1,000, so it's going to say that, hey, transfer amount exceeds balance, and we will not be able to continue. Normally, we would just continue with phase 1 through 6, and we're going to show you what that looks like in a moment when by lowering the fee both here and here. And actually, let me show you what this is, because this is great for if you're watching this video as a potential white labeler. Let me show you how simple that is. If we go into token sale, an admin can use this as well as a purchaser, and in this case as a platform manager itself. I can use this by going over to the factory side here, and I can look at the current fees that I have here, and you can see how it's set to 1,000. I want to make sure I'm modifying the live controller, which is this. So what I'm going to do is, the live factory. So what I'm going to do is, among these fees, what I'm going to do is look at the platform universe fees. And you see I got the 1,000 in here, right? Now, I'm going to click it to edit it, and I'm going to change the 1,000 to 100. In fact, I'll make it 10, just in case we really don't have enough in the test account here. We're going to make this 10, and we're going to just update the template fee so that it's 10, and we're going to save that. It says the transaction is likely to fail, but that was the first transaction. I didn't cancel that. So that was actually deploying phase 1. So it's going to try and fail that, but it is actually going to change the fee in the platform universe, as you can see. So go back to home. Really important you guys don't make that mistake. If you have a pending transaction that's likely to fail, cancel it. Don't go on and do other things. Make sure your MetaMask only has one thing in it at a time. So now we can load the existing, and you'll see it still shows 1,000 because it hasn't gone on chain yet. So let's see if we load it now, what happens? Is it still 1,000? Okay, let's just wait until it updates to $10. It's usually much quicker than this, but you know, sometimes the network is congested. Let's see what happens. We will wait until this updates. Time for a coffee break, it looks like, or watermelon juice break. So it's possible it didn't update because we chose the, we had one thing that was pending, so it probably used a different nonce. So what we're going to do is we're going to try this one more time. We're going to upload this. Save template to platform universe. One more time. And actually, it's going to try to save it as 1,000. So let's cancel this. If MetaMask were only faster. What we're going to do, remember we set this to 10, right? So click it one time. It's set to 1,000. Let's set it to 10. One more time. Update template fee. There it is 10. Let's try to save the template again as $10 deploy fee. The activation fee being $200, the sales reg $100, and a holder fee of $10. These are actual. So 7 cents to make these changes. And the transaction was submitted. So back to home. Okay, let's make sure this is closed. Now let's try the load existing, and beautiful, the existing is 10. So now let's go back to where we were. As an admin, to make sure these line up, I'm gonna have to change the fee that you guys are gonna see on this side. They have to align. And so this is also very simple, but to show you this is another protection mechanism. To show you this, if you click auto deploy now, again, same thing, no deployment found yet. Start fresh, the only option you have. If you've deployed some phases, it will still remember those phases. Start fresh means something completely different. We're just going to change the name of that button so it just says continue, so you're not confused. It refers to some local state, not what's deployed. Now, if I click deploy phase 1 again, actually, it's already going to tell us that it shows the fees matched. Yeah, fee mismatch. Here it is. This is the important thing, and this is thankfully working. So, even if we approve the spending cap, it will show that it will fail because the fees are not lined up now. Hey, we just set it to $10, but it's still trying to do a fee of 1,000. So this is all working, which is great. So let's go back and let's just change the fee to $10, and then we could resume this demo from where we were. Let's cancel this. You see how it says 1,000 there? We're going to cancel that, and the next time it's going to show 10, because what we're going to do is go in as a platform admin. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to close this for a second, and this one too. I'm going to go down here and close this one too. And over here where in admin mode, again, this is not something you'll see. This is really for the purposes of demonstration here to show you that since we're live, this video is live, right? Everything that's happening here is live on the ETH chain. So it's incredibly challenging to do these things, right? But we're able to do it. So what do I want to do here? I want to open up under company management, because this EquityMint.org is analogous to a company that itself, right? We're using the Data Cloud OS platform to build all this. So it's a good opportunity for you guys to see how powerful we are. Now watch, get treasury configs. I'm going to get the treasury config associated with with the platform itself, EquityMint.org. Subdomain white labelers have different information, and you can see that under here. Subdomain, subcompany, activate subcompany. We have not activated our white labels yet. As soon as we do, they'll be here, and they all have different fee arrangements depending on the project type, right? In the case of a stablecoin, for example, stablecoins.equitymint.org, there are no transfer fees, but there's anywhere from a $10,000 to $100,000 activation fee to create your stablecoin, as is justified. It could be representing a stablecoin for an entire, for a whole country. Like we have 2 countries that have come to us already, so just for that purpose. Now, all we do here is go in here and look at the fee entity for the platform. There can be several fee entities. In this case, there's one. The treasury address is set correctly. All of these are set correctly, but we have to match fees. We're down to $10 now for the deploy fee. If you guys get in quick and make your projects while, if we have a chance to set it back, maybe you'll get a project or 2 in there at $10 deploy fee. Wow. So here it is, $10 for the deploy fee. Okay, we're going to click OK, and we're going to save this object. So now we have $10 deploy fees that match the domain set deploy fee. We're going to go back into the operations side. We're going to click deploy and back to auto deploy, back to proceed, and again start. We're going to change the name of this to just continue. Ignore all the fancy pre-flight testing. You will shortly see the actual deploy screen. Now, ready to deploy, and this should actually work now. We're going to deploy phase 1. And notice how it says fees matched, right? In the pre-flight, it's checked, ready to deploy phase 1. So now we'll click confirm on the spending cap of 10, a whole whopping 10 USDC for a deployment fee. Okay. Now confirm. $8, so 8 times 6, approximately $50 to deploy everything using network fees. But what it shows here is not actually half the time as what we actually end up spending. But this is a very good sign. So we're going to confirm this, and it's going to deploy the first 2 of the 13 contracts. Wow, very exciting! First time in history, live. We're deploying live contracts on ETH chain through an automated mechanism. And actually, I lied. It's actually the 7th or 8th time we're doing this, so I'm not as excited as I was, but it's pretty cool. I'm gonna go back to home, and here it worked. You notice how this phase 1 changed to phase 2? This is really exciting. Now, let's prove that it worked. Let's click the current deployment status. This is a really important button for you guys to just monitor your progress as you're going. And even if you go have lunch now, or have another sip of coffee or watermelon juice, you can come back later, log in again, and you'll still be at phase 2. It remembers your state. Now check this out, it worked. The deployment state shows the controller and the fee manager, and the actual controller contents shows yourself as the super and the treasury admin to begin with, right? You must be the super and treasury admin and token admin as well to begin with, and you can change it later. We have our own registered safe, exactly that, registered safe contract, and it's registered because only multisigs that are in that safe contract can be used. It's a protective mechanism, and we'll get into that later. We really want to stay focused here because there's so much going on. So let's close this. And it shows phase 1 project, phase 1 was successful. It shows our progress. Let's close and let's go into deploy phase 2 of 6. No more fees now. It's actually phase 3 that's going to deploy the token itself. That's an exciting one. So let's get through this. Phase 2, token content plus time lock. Let's do that. And okay, we're going to confirm another $8 deployment for 2 very large contracts. Now, by the way, we do an incredible statistical gas estimation. You could pay $1,000 for this anywhere else if you're not careful. We take the lowest reasonable percentages to still get you in the next block within 12 seconds. This worked. Transaction is complete. Now watch this. The deploy phase 2 just went to phase 3. Did you guys notice that? So this worked. Now let's prove that it worked. Let's click our current deployment status and we'll see our new contracts. It's absolutely amazing. See, the issue token content manager was added and the issue token time lock. We are now ready to deploy the token. This is the exciting part, everyone. We're going to deploy the token itself. And then it's going to update automatically our centralized system, so you have a reference place to go back to, so you can see everything that you did. And deploy new projects as well, at just the touch of a few buttons, like we're doing here. Okay, let's close this and let's deploy phase 3. Token plus sale manager. Okay, let's do it. This is the exciting one. MetaMask will ask you to confirm deploy all 3. When this is done, it's going to automatically update the token address in your project so you have it for reference. And of course, you can always refer back to it or copy and paste it and you'll have it on chain forever. But you don't want to lose what you deployed here either, even though you can always log in and see it again through our centralized system just in case. Wherever offline, just make sure you record all of this information, take screen snapshots when you're done. All right, here we go. We are going to deploy the token and sale manager. Now, you don't have to use the sale manager, right? But you have it. You have a sale manager, you have a liquidity pool, you have a project revenue treasury, you have a NAV pool if you happen to be a fund. You have access to so much, but you're not obligated to use any of it. And that's the beauty of this system. Now let's confirm this. We're going to confirm deploying the token and the sale manager right now, folks, for $8.06. Transaction submitted. There it is. Now this is where it's going to actually do the overwrite. It did work, and this is where it's going to overwrite, but it should be overwriting with the deployment instead of 0x. So that's a UI thing we might have to fix. I'm going to copy this so we have it for later. And I'm going to click overwrite, even though it will probably be ignored. No, it is not being ignored, and that's good. It's actually using the actual token address, which ends in 811. This is your token address, so this actually worked, and it's just a UI thing. You'll click OK, writing the data, and now you'll reload. And that's it, and it's now ready for phase 4. Wow, this is so exciting. Now let's make sure that this worked. It does another check, again, in case you went to have lunch or another sip of coffee. Now you will click deploy phase 4 of 6, and if you did happen for whatever reason not to get that token address saved centrally, it will show you here. But before we click this, let's go back again and monitor our progress by clicking current deployment status and check out where we are, everyone. Look at this. Here's the token ending in 811. It's actually deployed. You guys have a real token now for your project. It's that simple. Let's close this and let's go into deploying the NAV Pool plus liquidity provider. Now, just FYI, you'll need to get through phase 5 at least, or your token will not, the system will not allow, the platform will not allow your token to be activated. So don't think you can just stop here. You must have your project revenue treasury, which is also needed to pay our holder fees, right? Depending on the project type. So it's absolutely essential you get through all 6 phases, but at least phase 5 of 6. Which includes your distribution manager, which you're definitely going to want. That's in phase 5 of 6. Now, I might have rejected this by accident. Something happened here. Once again, there were 2 things going on in here. So let's again, MetaMask can be very tricky if there's pending things going on behind the scenes and you haven't gotten through everything. It's a horrible interface, but it's still the best available for desktop and for Chrome to interact with EVM blockchains. So let's try this one more time. We're going to go into deploy phase 4 of 6, and we'll be very careful not to cancel the transaction, but to accept it, making sure that it aligns with what we're actually doing here. So current deployment status. We checked. We saw the token has been deployed. Woohoo! You know, that's the best excitement you can get out of me for this video. Being like the 8th or 9th project we're already deploying now. Now, network fee, $8.61. Let's confirm. We are now deploying the NAV Pool plus liquidity provider. Look at the button, everyone. Deploy phase 4 of 6. Know exactly what it is you're doing. So you'll pay $8.61. And we're going to confirm what this actually came out to be next. But let's hit confirm. Okay, done. Hit confirm. And now, transaction was submitted, and we are shortly going to be finished with phase 4. Let's close this. Again, this becomes, well, let's wait. Transaction submitted. Let's just wait. This phase 4, look at this, it's going to go to phase 5. Transaction complete. Watch the button down here. Watch the button here. Deploy phase 4. We'll change to phase 5. Shortly, we hope. Any day, there it is. Okay, deploy phase 5 of 6. So this shifted to phase 5, ready to deploy. Let's back to home. Close the MetaMask window. Now we want to see how much we spent. I said we would do that, so let's do that. Let's open this and let's see how much we actually spent on that transaction. All of them are averaging around $8. Using our very excellent estimator, which is in your display log. You can see how it works. Using statistical points at the lower end, so we don't compete with like front runners who pay $1,000 just to get their transaction in first. Now, under the activity, if this contract is confirmed, here it is. We actually did pay $8.61. A lot of times that doesn't align with what we actually spent, depending on how we set this, depending on the type of transaction. But for this case, it's exact, and that's excellent. So let's close this. We've spent close to $50 on ETH fees, very low. Now we're going to deploy phase 5 of 6, the distribution manager, really important, plus the project treasury. But before we do, let's check our current deployment status again. And we can see that, in fact, the NAV Pool manager and liquidity provider have been deployed and are in the controller. Let's see. Yep, excellent. Let's close. Let's move on. Deploy phase 5 of 6, distribution manager and project treasury. This is really important. A lot goes on when you deploy this project treasury. It adds your base default transfer fees, which in this case we always default to $11. It has to be a little bit higher than the holder fees that come out of your project revenue treasury. You guys have control, however. It's very important that even though we set that as a default for you, you can change it. You can change it. You're not obligated to collect transfer fees. But if you don't, and you don't manually then, or place sufficient monies into your project revenue treasury to support the token holder fees, which is part of the platform service fees in general, as you know, then the token will turn off and transfers will stop. So it's very important that you maintain these very low holder fees. They're one-time holder fees. What that means is if someone buys the token, they register, pay the $100 or $80 registration fee if they're coming through a white label, then they are exempt. However, if there's a secondary market, meaning you've turned off gating so that in the future you have a secondary market that you allow through the liquidity pool, all newcomers, holders for the first time, will be obligated, will pay, as receivers, they will not pay. The sender will pay the $10 holder fee to the new holder if he's coming in for the first time as a new holder. Otherwise, no fee will be charged if it's transferred between existing holders. This is important to understand. Again, in certain projects like stablecoins that require high velocity, near zero fees, we will likely be charging zero, where the stablecoin producer can charge their own fees of 0.1%. You can set fees in both absolute value or percentage amounts and receive those fees either as a piece of what it is that's being transferred or in some other stablecoin unit. As we also discussed earlier, it's your counter asset. Now let's click confirm. We are deploying, look at the button, the distribution manager and the project treasury. Let's click confirm. And as we said, what's happening now in the initialization of the project treasury, in addition to the root fees that we have, an additional fee is being added that you control for your project that allows your project to collect these one-time transfer fees to support our holder fees. And the transfer fees on sales that you're collecting come right out of the sale price. Even though holder fees do not, people who purchase are exempt from our holder fees. So in fact, let me reword that. In the case of a sale, I believe no transfer fee will be collected, and if it is collected, it goes into your treasury. It does not come out as a holder fee. And if it does get collected, it comes out of the sale anyway, so it becomes commingled funds into your project, along with the funds that you've raised that go into your sale manager contract as acting as a treasury itself. Your sale manager is a treasury itself. Any transfer fees that are collected go into your project revenue treasury. I believe the entire sale process is exempt from that. So let's go into the final phase here, folks. Deploy phase 6 of 6. But before we do, let's check our current deployment status. With over 2 million lines of code now, it's incredibly hard to remember every feature, but we do our best. Okay. Look at this. We've got everything here, including the liquidity provider and the project revenue treasury for your project. Incredibly exciting. There is only one more phase left. You'll deploy phase 6 of 6. And then you're done. Your project is done, and you can give your token address to any purchaser that you have, right? Or investor, depending on the nature of your project. There's only one other thing left to be done after this, and that is to add the token address itself into your subscription agreement, and we'll show you what to do after that. This is it, everyone. This is the final phase. Click confirm, $9.87, because it's deploying 3 very large contracts all at once. Not just 2, but 3 here. Now, all contracts deployed not in 2 phases, in 6 phases. But it's done. That's it. Transaction is complete. All right. Lovely. Now you've seen firsthand how you can make your own projects, everyone. It's this simple. What is next? Next, what you're going to do is activate your token. Let's confirm everything's here first. Let's click current deployment status. Oh, now it will not show anything, and there's a good reason for that, because the project is done. Everything is done now, so there's nothing left you can do here. You could open the controller here, and it'll show you all 13, well in this case 14 contracts, because the controller factory is also put in here gratuitously. So technically there's only 13 plus the controller itself, so that would be 14 contracts. But don't worry, it's all is not lost. You close out, you close that, so there's actually those 2 screens, and now in the view mode, this is, you just, open, make sure your token is open, click the view mode, and here it is. It shows you everything. And this is what you'll take a screenshot of, so you have it forever, so you'll never lose these addresses. Copy and paste it into a document and store it in several places, and you'll have everything you need going forward. And the only thing you really need to get back to all of this again is this, your token address. That's all you need, and this is all you need to give to people, is your token address. So what is the next step? Let's copy this token address, and let's go in to the token sale side, which is where you're going to manage your token. That's an example of our terms. You must agree to our terms, by the way, before using this system, and the terms are available through the About link. We'll make it more clear about how to access the terms through an actual terms link. Now, as I said, you'll go into EquityMint org token sale. The easiest way to reach that, by the way, is close this and just scroll up to the top, and you see this $sign here up on the top. You can just go right into the token management page. And this shows you everything that you need and everything that users need to purchase. The first thing you'll do as a user, the first thing you would do is paste in the token address, click connect and discover, and then it says, hey, you're connected. Here's the token. This is the symbol. Here's the token sale contract. Now, when we click verify token and documents, it's not going to pass. And the reason is because we don't actually have the subscription agreement at the domain that we specified here. Now, in other videos, we showed this working because we actually showed the EquityMint token itself, which does have a valid domain and a path and actual document with hash registered where it says it's registered, residing at where it says it's residing. And this shows the actual trail. Look at this. Remember we wrote that the document is actually stored at velios.com subscription agreement PDF, right? This is what's actually in the trail, and this is the expected hash. But the document is not there. If you go to this link, it's an empty link. And so it warns the user, don't purchase this token. There's no document at that domain. And if there was a document, it's going to still warn the user if the document itself doesn't contain the token address. And that's what we were going to tell you to do next. What you're going to do next is you'll go in on the admin side as a project user, project deployer, and you'll click connect as admin again through the admin side here. And you'll see the stats on your token. Max precision 0, even though we use 18 decimals. We discussed that earlier. And you'll go all the way down to the bottom, and you'll activate the sale. But before you do that, you're going to have to activate the token itself and pay the $200 USDC fee. So you'll click that to activate your token. You see this is all live, this is all functional. So step 1 would be to activate token. And then it shows the $200 you'll pay. This will refresh to 200 from 200,000, 200 USDC. And you'll confirm that, and then the token will be activated. I'm not going to do that, but that's what you'll do. Once you've done that, then you can activate your sale here, and that's free. You can even do it before you activate the token, but it won't work. It'll give you a warning. It'll say, hey, token's not activated yet. The sale will be marked as active, but purchases will fail until token activation fee is paid. This is useful for testing. Continue. So let's cancel that. And then this does update to active in that case on the sale activation. Now remember we talked about gating for the secondary market? That's up here where it says toggle token gating. Do we allow a secondary market at all? You can do that at any point. So currently the gating is active, so there is no secondary market permitted. You have to change that. You have to toggle that, and the cost to do that is probably about 10 cents. Whatever the ETH fee is for that. It's a very small transaction. It's a Boolean change. Here it is, 2 cents. Okay, so we're going to cancel. I'm not going to set the gating right now. You can also set a permanent transfer lock in the case where, say, we have a project where we're collecting for Congress and the donors are not transferable. So this would pertain to you. Now, what about this? Self-certification. You can set your registration mode. Do you require a third-party KYC provider like SumSub? Do you require manual admin approval? Right? You can set these things. One thing that we do have that you cannot bypass is the self-cert. That means any purchaser of your token must self-certify that they have read the document and that the document itself specified one of a number of exemptions, or that it's a registered security. There is one more line to be added to this self-cert that allows for products and services in general that are just not securities. Now, and this, by the way, this certification is embedded in the message, in the MetaMask message for the user, and a CC of that message is sent to you, and then we as a platform verify that the domain did in fact have the document as a snapshot. It's really important. You probably don't want to bypass that because it protects you as a project. So why we added this bypass, I'm still not sure yet, but I did add it because I didn't want the email to have to be sent. With a self-cert, you're not waiting and verifying your email. But what this does is it also allows the user to verify his email. This is really important, I think, unless you have a token where you just don't even care about even that their email is who they claim to be. You don't even want them to have to specify an email address. In that case, fine, you can set this, check it, and set the sales registration mode. Then we as a platform are not acting as a domain verifier that the path at that moment in time was in fact where they said the document was, and the document was in fact there. So that's up to you as a project. We are a platform. You guys handle the intelligence of your own project. We just offer the tools to make your project a success on a technical level. So it's really important you understand that. If you do require a third-party registrar, you will have to add that registrar's public address, which they may not even have. Very few third-party registrars provide anything other than an ID. Like they don't provide an ETH-based address, a public address analogous to a public key in the PGP system. They don't do that. Nevertheless, the game is changing across the board, and some of these are getting wise, and they will provide you with such an address. And then you can use them and add them as a third-party registrar into the controller. And we'll show you how to do that actually later. If you go back here, regular EquityMint side, this portal, the Treasury Manager, lets you monitor and add to your treasury. So you would select you would paste your controller address, and then you would see the things that are in there, and you would edit, and you would add an entity, and the entity you would add is third-party registrar. You would enter the address of SumSub, for example. This is also the way you add new treasurers, new token admins on your team. Very important roles, right? This is what you can do here. So it's important that we showed you that. That is this button. So back, that's the treasury manager. It's more appropriately called the controller manager, or really just token system manager, to manage elements of your token system in a way that's different than this, right? This really has everything you need, but if you want to add to your controller currently, now you know how to do it. Now, we want to get back to the document thing that we talked about before. You need to add the token address to your document and have your admin put that document back at the path, right? Back at the path that it was at before, or a new path. Then, when they're done with that, right here under Content Management and Court Tools, you're going to give the doc a title, whatever it is, subscription agreement, and its URL again, which is yourcompany.com/token subscription agreement. Call it whatever you want to call it, but don't put. You can actually do this, but it might fail if it sees that dot. I was purposely attempting to there are some safeties in place in the contract itself, including // and colon, which you cannot include. It says here right now, do not include it. But you can try it, but I recommend making your document URL something like this, without a file type being added. And have your admin put the document at this link with an alias in your Apache or conf file. Have an alias made. And then you choose the file, just like we did before. If you recall, you choose the file, the PDF file that's relevant, the hash is calculated, you click Add to Trail. That's it, and then you're done. Then people will be able to purchase, they will get verified messages that, hey, this document is there, the token address is in the document. So you must make sure that that token address ending in 811 in this case, if you recall, is actually added to your document that says the token that you're purchasing is at this address. And you write that into your document. Now, we're not going to do this because there's no reason for us to add this, but if we did, it would appear in the trail. So we're going to cancel this. And what else? You can add short strings just for reference, like saying, hey, we've told everyone this company is now done and we've exited and paid all our, company defunct, right? When it's done, now you'll have a timestamp associated with that. Company defunct and sales proceeds placed into PRT, Project Revenue Treasury, at address 0x. This way the world knows, whatever that is. The world knows that you're done and that you've done what you needed to do and you've made a record of it, and that record is now on chain. That's simple, folks. There's hundreds and hundreds of features. That's why this video is so long. Those of you who sat through it will now have the benefit of being at the top of your game when it comes to launching your project. That's all I can say about that. I'm not going to add that short string to this test, but we could, and it would cost you 15 cents to do it live on ETH, not even on BNB, which would cost less, or AVAX. Those chains seem to be best for, as well as Solana, for like Internet of Things kind of transactions. Court verification tool, reconstruct user certification. This is really important if you are going to court and you want to prove that the user did sign the message that says that a particular document with a particular hash code that you're bringing to court with you in a digital format was signed by the user, right? This is really powerful. Again, there's just so much stuff going on here. Sale price management, new base price. You could set it for $3. You could set it so going forward it's a new price, right? But here's the staggered one. This is interesting. Let's say after you sold 5,000 shares, you want the price to go up. I think our initial price was 221. Well, now let's make it 300. What the hell? We sold 5,000 already. There's more demand, right? So let's add the stagger. You can do that. And as long as this comes up without an error, it will work, and the stagger is live. Now, there's one more thing you have to do that we didn't tell you about yet as an admin. I'm going to cancel this. And what is that one other thing? You need to go into swap and transfer. And, oh, by the way, you ever want to see all the projects that are in any particular subdomain, you know, just click our base controller address and click select domain EquityMint.org, select the project, Velios New York Trust. There it is, the one we just added, and click it, and you'll see the same thing on the token sale side. You'll see all of the contracts that pertain, and both in the controller and the last deployment, they should match up. But here's the token address again, 811. So really exciting. When we have our white labels in here, you'll see them here, and you'll see what projects are in those white labels. So anyone can go here and see this. Fully transparent. Shows the total projects for the entire platform, the base domains, the total subdomains. When I say entire platform, that's on our latest controller, right? So different controllers have different, on our latest controller factory, there's different platform universes for testing. So the live one is this, the latest. Now, I think we've come to the conclusion here of this presentation. We're not going to switch chains. I was remiss, there is one more element, and if we go back to the correct token sale that we were at earlier, let's just go back up to the top here. What we were talking about earlier that I had forgotten is the last thing you need to do as an admin is you need to move tokens, right, from your token treasury into your sale treasury. And the way you'll do that is first you once again need to find your project. Unless I still have it to paste. Yes, I do. 811, remember your token, right? So you're going to connect and initialize under swap and transfer. And the very first thing you need to do is do an admin withdrawal from the token treasury. And you'll need to move it to your sale treasury. This is actually what's called a peer-to-peer, executive peer-to-peer transfer. So this it says withdraw tokens from treasury to any address. And so what we're going to do here is add a fourth option, because this is like more for emergencies. As an admin, you can move tokens to any address. But for the best accounting, you're going to want to use the peer-to-peer treasury, not this regular peer-to-peer transfer, which anyone can use to just do transfers and pay the transfer fee that you have set. What you're going to want to do is go to what is called executive peer treasury transfer, right? That's a lot of words, but you'll see it here shortly. And it looks something like this. Select the treasury source, which in this case is the issue token contract. And the recipient is going to be the sale manager contract. And you can see that. You can see what your sale manager contract is by clicking on your project. And to find your project, once again, just like select your project, the Velios New York Trust. You could see that, you can click it, you could say, you could look at the contents and see what your shell manager address is, right? There's your shell manager. So you can copy that, you can close it, and then in admin withdrawal, the recipient is the sale manager. And the amount of tokens you'll want to send over is the amount that you want available for sale. If you made 10,000, maybe you're going to sell 10,000 now, maybe you're only going to sell 1,000 now. And this actual balance is 10,000 because that's what was created. So this is just another UI thing we have to update. You write a note what the reason is, right? What the accounting auditable reason is for the transfer, and you could say to initiate sale. And then you do the executive admin withdrawal request. And that's it. So shortly this will be in top shape for you guys to do peer-to-peer treasury transfers. Remember, the token address, the token contract is a treasury, is an executive peer treasury. The sale manager is an executive peer treasury. The liquidity provider is not, or it may be. I have to check that again. But the project revenue treasury, of course, is an executive peer treasury as well. So you will be able to move freely as an admin, as a treasury admin, either an EOA or a multi-sig. You can now move tokens freely between those contracts. It's just the interface that needs to be updated to support that. Once again, thank you and good luck.